This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
Next on the 5 o'clock report.
All signs are pointing a targeted attack on a synagogue, on the Jewish community.
This supreme leader is more of a figurehead.
Gas prices make me sick.
We have to try to protect these kids. If no one else is gonna, we have to at least start having the conversation.
I love the agency. I love the people that I worked with, but my family has to come first.
Now, let's go to the newsroom.
Good afternoon and welcome to the broadcast. I'm Family Life News anchor Sarah Harnish. Attack thwarted after a man rammed a car loaded with explosives through the door and down the hallway of the nation's largest synagogue outside Detroit today. He was stopped by a lone security guard. CBS's Scott McFarland.
The person suspected of this attack today in Oakland County, Michigan is dead, taken down by security.
12,000 families are members at the Temple Israel complex. Police say there was some type of incendiary device intended to do more harm inside that vehicle. Oakland County Sheriff Michael Bouchard says the security guard that stopped the vehicle will survive.
We have no victims other than one of the lead security people was hit by the car and was taken to the hospital for treatment.
There is smoke coming from the roof of the temple at this hour. The FBI and bomb-sniffing dogs are on the scene, and again, that suspect is dead. CBS's Anna Schechter.
All signs are pointing a targeted attack on a synagogue, on the Jewish community at this point.
Not a single child injured, not a single staff member hurt because of the courage of a security guard. A gunman opened fire at Virginia's Old Dominion University today. 2 people were shot there. Freshman Zachary Mulder had just left a class in Constance Hall, the same building where it happened.
30 or so people ran into the front door, Web Center, screaming shooter and gun.
2 people were taken to a local hospital. That gunman is dead. The university has canceled classes for the day. For the first time, the world heard from Iran's new leader. He called for the Strait of Hormuz to stay closed and vowed revenge on America. Fox correspondent Trey Yinks.
Iran's supreme leader Mojtaba Khamenei made remarks through state media. Basically, you had a TV presenter reading what they say is a written statement, but we have still not seen him on camera or in person since Operation Epic Fury began.
No audio, no video, just a presenter on state TV.
Iran will not refrain from avenging the blood of its martyrs.
Heritage Foundation senior fellow Brett Sadler says no in-person appearance means he's not actually running around.
I think it makes it increasingly clear that this supreme leader is more of a figurehead. If he is actually alive, or at least not in a comatose kind of state.
Gas prices are up again today. The cost of a gallon of gasoline in New York State is $3.50. It's $3.65 in Pennsylvania. Oneida County resident David Bartlett Jr. is filling up his Chevy Silverado in Rome.
I don't say it's not worth it. I just hope it doesn't keep going and going and going.
Single mom Michelle Keller tells Spectrum News she's grinning and bearing it.
Looking at these gas prices make me sick because buying groceries now is like tough. So, and if it just keeps going up higher, I don't know. It's going to be rough.
It is all tied to the war in Iran. The Strait of Hormuz effectively shut down. 20 to 25% of the world's oil goes through that waterway. Scott Ladner is with Horizon Investments.
If we can control the strait, if we can get ships moving through there, that's going to be the key determinant. You look for evidence that we're getting ships through that strait. Until or unless that starts to happen, you're not going to see a major relief.
Last night, Iran escalated attacks on global shipping, taking out 2 tankers in the Gulf and a container ship off the coast of Dubai. CBS's Matt Duckman.
Analysts tell us that over the past 72 hours, they have really taken control over the narrative and the pace and the way that this war is being fought, essentially forcing the U.S. to either come to some sort of deal or pour even more resources into the Strait of Hormuz, into the Persian Gulf in order to, quote, open it up.
President Trump wants an immediate vote on the Save America Act, which would require Americans to show proof of citizenship in person to register to vote in federal elections and implement photo ID requirements for voting. Senator John Thune says he'll put the bill on the floor next week.
He wants to move forward with this bill, that he supports this bill, but the reality is that the votes just aren't there.
One vote that's missing, Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman said today that he will not vote for the Save America Act in its current state. His big issue with it, President Trump's criticism of mail-in voting. Trump says it increases fraud. Fetterman called that, quote, ridiculous. The partial government shutdown is almost a month old, and TSA workers are struggling to get by without a paycheck. CBS's Chris Van Cleave.
Robert Echeverria worked the TSA checkpoints at the Salt Lake City airport for 9 years, but with no paycheck or end in sight to the latest partial government shutdown, he quit.
I love the agency. I love the people that I worked with, but my family has to come first.
Was it a hard decision to leave?
It definitely was.
The shortage of TSA workers is causing hour-long delays for airline passengers. Democrats are refusing to fund the Department of Homeland Security because of immigration enforcement efforts. Still to come on the 5 o'clock report, human trafficking talk, lowering utility bills in the Empire State, and buffer zones at abortion clinics. Those stories after weather with Kevin Williams.
Here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. Our call for tonight. Plenty of cloud cover for most. It'll be partly cloudy for a while in parts of western New York and northwest Pennsylvania. Also be a couple of flurries. Then some snow will move into areas close to Lake Erie late tonight, low temps 20s. Then a period of snow tomorrow will flip to rain showers. There can be a light coating for some spots. Temperatures climbing well into the 30s and low 40s and climbing further tomorrow night with rain showers and gusty winds. Colder again on Saturday, blustery with morning flurries, breaks of sun, and high temps in the 30s and lower 40s.
Thank you, Kevin. Checking the stories where you live in New York and Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania's first human trafficking caucus is in the books. A group of bipartisan lawmakers hashed out laws they want to pursue to protect those getting trafficked in the Keystone State. Representative Clint Owlett says it's a huge issue in Pennsylvania.
We cannot pretend that it's not happening because it is. And we have to try to protect these kids. If no one else is going to, we have to at least start having the conversation and looking for ways to address this issue.
From 2020 to 2024, there were 1,400 human trafficking offenses filed in the Keystone State, though experts say there are far more cases than the ones that are caught. It looks promising to get some type of a deal this year to lower utility costs in the Empire State. There are now utility rate reduction bills from both sides, Republicans and Democrats, in Albany. Some of their suggestions: to freeze rate hikes, offer some type of a rebate check, or a potential pause on utility assessments. In New York, protesters rallied at the state capitol Wednesday in Albany in support of a bill that would place a 25-foot buffer zone around churches for their protection. New York Assemblyman Micah Lasher supports the bill.
That's an existing law. We add no new penalties, no new crimes. It just says that in addition to the existing protections, there's going to be a 25-foot buffer zone. You can protest, you can speak your mind, you can say things even that I might view as hateful. You just have to do it 25 feet away.
At first glance, it appears to be good, but many are glossing over a line tucked inside that in addition to churches, abortion clinics would also have that buffer. That means people who show up to pray with pregnant moms, to coach them or encourage them, would be forced behind the line of the buffer zone. Compass Care is one of the organizations that does this type of work, and they say they've saved 2,500 babies in 2025 alone. And funeral arrangements have been made for the fallen Pennsylvania State Police Corporal Timothy J. O'Connor, the officer gunned down at a traffic stop Sunday in West Calne Township. Services will be held at St. Joseph's Parish in Downingtown, with public viewing on Tuesday from 4:30 to 8 p.m. The funeral will be held Wednesday, but is not open to the public. He leaves behind a wife and a young daughter. Next at 5, transitioning children at school. Let's listen in. This is Faith Under Fire. We take you straight to the front lines of religious battlegrounds. I'm your host, Sarah Harnish. With me today, Focus on the Family's issues analyst, Jeff Johnston. The United States Supreme Court struck a blow against the California Department of Education and schools that hide information about a child's sexual identity. Teachers in California have been coached to withhold information from parents or even lie to them if their kids are struggling with their identity. Jeff, this is a huge victory for parents' rights. What are the details of the case Mirabelli versus Bonta?
This started around 2016 when the Obama administration told states and school districts that they had to not discriminate against kids because they're transgender and they had to protect their privacy. And then schools started developing transgender policies that told teachers that they couldn't talk to parents about a child's so-called gender identity if the child didn't want them to. There were a couple of teachers in Southern California, and they filed a lawsuit against this, saying, I'm not going to lie to parents about this. I'm not going to use a child's chosen name at school and then their real name when I talk to their parents. Then parents jumped onto the bandwagon as well, so they joined the lawsuit. And the Supreme Court, this wasn't a full decision with a hearing, but it was a decision from the court, so it still is binding. It was an emergency decision to shut down these policies. And they said, no, parents have the right to raise their children according to their values, according to their faith, and states can't interrupt that. They can't jump between parents and children like this. So they ruled that these policies were unconstitutional.
There are dozens of similar cases making their way through the court system right now. What happens to them?
Well, there are at least 1,000 school districts across the country and at least 18,000 schools that have these similar policies. So hopefully some of them will just begin to put these policies on hold and stop schools from lying. We're hopeful that the Supreme Court may pick up one or two of these other cases where a school began to socially transition a child, meaning help the child pick a new name. If it's a girl, help the girl dress as a boy, use boy pronouns for that girl. And there's been dozens of cases where parents have found this out later on, where they've gotten upset about it and they've challenged what the school district has done. In the general public square, most people understand that there's boys and girls, that it's not fair to have boys and girls sports, that it's not right to use powerful drugs, hormones, and surgeries on little children that can sterilize and mutilate their bodies. So those are areas where we're actually winning. 80% of the population is with us.
Learn more at theDailyCitizen.org. That's Focus on the Family's Jeff Johnston. You can subscribe, listen to, and share Faith Under Fire and all of Family Life's original podcasts at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or at FamilyLife.org.
When Scripture speaks about giving, it speaks the language of worship. Hi, I'm Rob West with your Faith and Finance Minute. In Philippians 4, Paul describes the Philippians' generosity as a fragrant offering, an acceptable sacrifice pleasing to God. Their financial gift wasn't just support for his ministry, it was worship offered to the Lord. That theme runs throughout the Bible. Giving acknowledges that everything we have comes from God and ultimately belongs to Him. When we give, we're not purchasing God's favor or trying to earn His love. We're responding to His grace with gratitude and trust. Our giving reflects what we treasure. Jesus taught that our hearts follow our treasure. Generosity pulls our hearts toward God and away from the love of money, redirecting our worship to the one who owns it all. Connect with a certified Kingdom advisor who's been trained to deliver financial advice that aligns with your Christian values by visiting our website, faithfi.com.
Coming up on the 5 o'clock report, churches are packed along the border with Iran. We'll take you there after weather.
I'm Kevin Williams, and here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. Well, if you haven't noticed, our spring fling has been flung. The winter weather is back. A cold night is coming up tonight. We've got a couple of evening flurries. And then as a disturbance approaches tomorrow, we've got some snow coming in, minor amounts, but it'll remind us of the season, which is, of course, still winter. Our call for tonight, plenty of cloud cover for most. It'll be partly cloudy for a while in parts of western New York and northwest Pennsylvania. Also be a couple of flurries. Then some snow will move into areas close to Lake Erie late tonight, low temps 20s. Then a period of snow tomorrow will flip to rain showers. There can be a light coating for some spots. Temperatures climbing well into the 30s and low 40s and climbing further tomorrow night with rain showers and gusty winds. Colder again on Saturday, blustery with morning flurries, breaks of sun, and high temps in the 30s and lower 40s.
Thank you, Kevin. Finally, at 5, churches along the Iranian border in Armenia are filled with Iranians, and they're finding Jesus after fleeing as refugees. This Iranian man was interviewed by CBN News.
I was in a bad mental state when I came to Armenia, and the only place that could give me that peace during this time was this church.
Pastor Omid at Nowith Church says it's more than worship. It's a place of preparation.
They're preparing these people, both those here in the Bible school and those we have in Iran in the house churches, so that when the day comes that Iran is liberated, they can return and preach the gospel.
He says there are hundreds of underground churches in Iran as the Iranian people find their voice for Jesus. And that's the world that we live in for Thursday, the 12th of March. I'm Sarah Harnish, and this is the 5 o'clock report on Family Life.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.